She was the kind of woman who lived quietly in the corners of social media. A soft smile in her profile picture, a handful of friends who cheered her on, and a daily routine that kept her grounded. To most people, she was just another face in a scrolling feed. But to one stranger watching from behind a glowing screen, she was everything. Her name was Emily Carter, a 26-year-old nurse living in Ohio. She spent long hours at the hospital, then returned home to a small apartment filled with warmth, candles on the counter, a dog that greeted her at the door, and the gentle hum of her phone lighting up with likes and comments. Social media was her escape, her way of feeling seen after days of exhaustion. It started innocently enough. A new follower appeared on her Instagram. His name was Daniel. He liked every photo she had ever posted, smiling selfies in scrubs, snapshots of coffee runs, even old pictures from her college days. First, Emily laughed it off. But then a message arrived. "You have the most beautiful smile I've ever seen." Emily wasn't naive. She knew how social media worked. Compliments, flattery, empty words, they happened all the time. Still, something about Daniel's messages felt different. He wasn't just commenting on her looks. He asked about her day, her work, her dog. And when she replied, his words poured back with the kind of attention she had long craved. Within weeks, their chats became part of her daily routine. Emily would stay up late, phone in hand, heart racing with every new notification. Daniel seemed perfect, handsome, kind, understanding. He told her he was a budding photographer, capturing the world through his lens while building his career. He spoke about dreams, adventures, and even about love, though they had never met in person. Her friends warned her, "Be careful, Emily. You don't really know him." But she shook it off. Daniel made her feel alive, and after months of long shifts and lonely nights, that feeling was priceless. The first cracks appeared when Daniel began asking for more of her time. First it was sweet. "I miss you when you're offline," he'd write. Then it turned possessive. "Why didn't you reply? Who are you with? Who else are you talking to?" Emily brushed it aside as jealousy, the kind people sometimes feel when they care too much. But soon his questions turned into demands. He insisted she delete male friends from her social media. He asked for proof of where she was. Selfies at work, screenshots of her location, even phone calls in the middle of the night just to confirm she was alone. Emily began to feel trapped, but by then, she was already deep in his web. He had woven himself into every corner of her life, and the thought of pulling away felt impossible. Besides, Daniel always knew how to win her back. After every fight, he'd apologize with poetic messages, long paragraphs about how she was the love of his life, the only person who understood him, and she wanted to believe it. Then came the night that changed everything. Emily posted a picture at a friend's birthday dinner, a simple photo, smiling with her arm around a coworker. Within minutes, her phone buzzed with a fury of messages. "Who is he? You lied to me. I told you I can't stand seeing you with other men." The messages spiraled, each one more threatening than the last. Emily's chest tightened as she scrolled. For the first time, she felt real fear. She tried to call him to calm him down, but he didn't answer. Instead, a final message appeared on her screen. "You'll regret this. I promise." That night, Emily barely slept. Her dog barked at shadows by the window, her phone buzzing endlessly on the nightstand. By morning, the messages had stopped. She wanted to believe it was over. But deep inside, a seed of dread had been planted. Days later, the dread grew into horror. As Emily walked to her car after a late hospital shift, she noticed something strange. A black sedan was parked across the street. Inside, someone sat in the driver's seat, engine idling, headlights dim. First, she thought it was coincidence. But then she saw it again, and again. When she confronted Daniel over the phone, he didn't deny it. "I just wanted to make sure you were safe," he said, his voice calm, almost soothing. But Emily's hands trembled as she realized the truth. He knew where she worked. He knew her routine. He wasn't just watching online anymore. He was here, The transformation from love to fear was complete. Emily had gone from believing she had found her soulmate to realizing she was living inside a nightmare. The following week, she received a package at her doorstep. No return address, no sender's name. Just a brown box taped shut. When she opened it, her breath caught in her throat. Inside was a framed photograph. An image of her walking her dog in the park. It wasn't a selfie. It wasn't from her social media. It was taken from a distance by someone watching. Emily dropped the frame as her hands shook violently. The glass cracked across the smiling image of her face. She knew instantly who it was from. She blocked Daniel on every platform, Instagram, Facebook, even WhatsApp. She changed her phone number, deleted her profiles, and prayed it would all end. But Daniel wasn't going to disappear. Cutting him off only made him more dangerous. A new wave of terror began. She'd wake up to find anonymous notes slipped under her door. "I see you. You can't hide from me. We belong together." Sometimes, the notes were written in red marker that looked disturbingly like blood. At work, co-workers noticed her unease. She was jumpy, exhausted, constantly glancing over her shoulder. Her best friend begged her to go to the police, and she did. But like so many women before her, Emily's cries for help were met with silence. The officers told her there wasn't enough evidence. Without direct threats of violence, their hands were tied. That night, Emily cried herself to sleep. For the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to feel completely powerless. But Daniel wasn't finished. His obsession was spiraling into violence. One evening, after a double shift, Emily returned home to find her apartment door slightly open. She froze in the hallway, her pulse pounding in her ears. Slowly, she pushed the door wider, her trembling hand clutching her phone. Inside, the lights were off. But she could feel it, the presence of someone who didn't belong. Her dog whimpered nervously, and then she saw it. On the living room wall, in large black letters sprayed across the paint. "Mine forever." Emily stumbled backward, her scream caught in her throat. She ran to her neighbor's door and banged furiously until they let her in. The police arrived minutes later, but once again, Daniel was gone, like a shadow that slipped away just before dawn. The apartment was ransacked. Her clothes torn from drawers, her photos slashed with a knife. But nothing of value was stolen. It was clear. This wasn't about money. This was about control. The officers filed another report, but their warnings were the same. "Be careful. Stay alert." Emily wanted to scream. How could she stay alert when she felt hunted every waking second? She tried staying with her parents for a while, hoping distance would protect her. But even there, she couldn't escape. One morning, as she stepped outside to get the mail, she found a single Polaroid tucked under the windshield of her car. The photo showed her asleep in bed. Emily dropped the picture and staggered back, her heart racing. She realized Daniel had been inside the house, inside her room, watching her as she slept. Her parents pushed her to take drastic measures. They installed cameras, changed the locks, even bought her pepper spray. But Emily knew none of it would matter. Daniel was always one step ahead. Then came the night that shattered everything. Emily had been at a friend's apartment, desperately trying to distract herself with a movie night. For a few hours, she managed to laugh, to feel normal again. But as she walked to her car in the parking lot, her body went cold. Leaning against her driver's side door was Daniel. This was the first time she had seen him in person. His presence was more terrifying than anything she imagined. He wasn't shouting or waving his arms. He was calm. Calm. His eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that froze her in place. "Why are you running from me, Emily?" His voice was soft, almost tender, but filled with menace. "I've given you everything. I've loved you more than anyone ever could." Emily's hands shook as she fumbled for her phone, but before she could dial, he stepped closer. "I don't want to hurt you," he whispered. "But if you keep pushing me away, I can't control what happens." She screamed, bolted back toward the building, and pounded on her friend's door. By the time help arrived, Daniel was gone. The police finally issued a restraining order, but Emily knew it was just a piece of paper. She lived in constant fear, her once bright world reduced to shadows and whispers. Then, weeks later, the nightmare reached its breaking point. It was a chilly Friday evening when Emily returned home from work. As she unlocked her apartment door, she noticed the faintest smell of cologne, one that wasn't hers. The hair on the back of her neck stood straight up. She turned the key slowly, her breath shallow. The door creaked open, and in the dim light of her living room she froze. There he was, Daniel, sitting calmly on her couch, waiting. "Hello, Emily," he said softly. "I was tired of waiting for you to let me in." Her chest tightened. "How did you get in?" she whispered. "You shouldn't leave spare keys under the mat," he said. "It's dangerous." Her fear became suffocating. She backed away, but Daniel rose to his feet, knife glinting in his hand. She fled to her bedroom, slammed the door, and locked it. But the pounding began. The lock splintered, the door crashed open, and Daniel stepped inside. Emily screamed and swung a lamp at him, knocking the knife from his grip. She ran, but he caught her, dragging her to the ground. His voice was a hiss. "If I can't have you, no one will." And then sirens. Police burst in as Daniel lunged with the knife. Gunshots split the air, and Daniel collapsed, blood pooling beneath him. Emily sobbed as officers pulled her away. She had survived, but barely. In the weeks that followed, detectives uncovered Daniel's apartment. It was a shrine dedicated to Emily. Photos of her plastered across the walls. Journals filled with fantasies of their life together. And hundreds of fake profiles waiting for his next victim. She wasn't his first target. She was just the first to survive. Emily deleted her accounts, moved to a new city, and tried to start over. But the fear lingered, a shadow that followed her into every quiet night. Her story became a warning that behind every like, every comment, every flattering message, there could be someone watching. Someone whose love could turn lethal. Because sometimes, the scariest part of social media isn't what you share with the world. It's who's watching from the dark. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.